Some places are forgotten by the world because they have nothing left to offer. But Raven Creek was forgotten because something there never wanted anyone to leave. The last postmaster vanished without a single clue. Now a new man has arrived, and before this night is over he will discover why no one in this town dares to look at the old tree after sunset. The road to Raven Creek stretched through endless pine forests and silent mountains. No cars passed. No houses appeared for miles. Only thick gray clouds followed Noah Bennett as he drove toward the small town where he had just been assigned as the new postmaster. His transfer had come without warning. The government letter described Raven Creek as a quiet mountain community with fewer than 400 residents. To Noah it sounded like the perfect place to escape the noise of the city. He had no idea that everyone else had spent years trying to escape this town. As his truck rolled beneath the old wooden welcome sign, the temperature suddenly dropped. A cold wind swept across the empty road. The town looked frozen in time. Old buildings leaned to one side. Streetlights flickered even though the sun had not completely disappeared. Not a single child played outside. Not a single dog barked. Every window seemed to hide someone silently watching him. Noah parked beside a small grocery store hoping to ask for directions. Several people stood outside talking. The moment they noticed him, every conversation stopped. No one smiled. No one greeted him. They simply stared. Noah forced a polite smile. "Hello everyone. I just arrived. Can someone tell me where the post office is?" The group exchanged nervous looks. An elderly man slowly removed his hat. "You are the new postmaster." Noah nodded. "Yes, I started today." A tall man wearing an old brown work jacket stepped forward. His name was Caleb Foster. "I will take you there." Without another word, Caleb started walking. Noah grabbed his bags and followed. The streets remained strangely empty. Every building looked abandoned even though lights glowed behind curtains. Noah noticed something even stranger. Almost every house had thick wooden boards covering the back windows. Why would anyone block only the rear windows? He wanted to ask, but Caleb remained silent. After several minutes they reached the edge of town. An old brick building stood alone beside the forest. A faded sign still read, United States Postal Service. Behind the building stood the largest cedar tree Noah had ever seen. Its trunk was twisted. Its branches stretched across the sky like giant black arms. Even without wind the branches moved slightly. Noah stared at it. That tree looks older than the town itself. Caleb stopped walking. "Do not stand near it after sunset." Noah laughed softly. "Is that some local superstition?" Caleb never smiled. "I am serious. No matter what you hear tonight, do not go near that tree." Noah looked at him carefully. For the first time he noticed the fear in Caleb's eyes. Not nervousness. Real fear. Caleb unlocked the old post office door. Dust floated through the air. Wooden shelves lined the walls. Mailbags covered in dirt sat untouched in one corner. It looked like no one had worked there for months. "There is a small room in the back. You can sleep there tonight. Tomorrow we will help you find another place." Noah placed his luggage beside the desk. "Thanks. I appreciate it." Caleb turned toward the exit. "One more thing. If someone knocks on the door tonight, do not answer, even if they call your name." Noah frowned. What if someone needs help? Caleb looked toward the giant cedar tree outside. "If you value your life, pretend you heard nothing." Then he walked away, leaving Noah completely alone inside the silent building. The sun slowly disappeared behind the mountains. Darkness swallowed Raven Creek, and somewhere outside, something heavy moved beneath the branches of the old cedar tree. Noah stood beside the front window watching the last strip of orange sunlight disappear behind the mountains. Within seconds the entire town seemed to vanish into darkness. It happened too quickly, almost as if night had been waiting just beyond the hills. He switched on the old lantern sitting on the counter. The weak yellow light barely reached the corners of the room. Everything smelled of old paper, damp wood, and dust. He walked through the post office, checking every shelf. Most of the mailboxes were empty. Some letters were still locked inside. Their dates were more than a year old. No one had collected them. No one had even tried. That made no sense. If people still lived here, why had they stopped coming to the post office? Noah found a large ledger hidden beneath the counter. Every page recorded incoming deliveries. The handwriting suddenly stopped 6 months earlier. The final signature belonged to Ryan Cooper, the previous postmaster. No resignation, no transfer notice, only one unfinished line. "They are watching from the tree." The sentence ended there. Noah stared at the page for several seconds. Someone had dragged the pen across the paper as if their hand had been pulled away. A cold chill ran across his back. He quietly closed the ledger. There has to be a logical explanation. Maybe Ryan was playing some kind of joke. Maybe he simply disappeared without finishing his work. He repeated those thoughts again and again, trying to convince himself. Outside, the wind slowly grew stronger. The giant cedar tree scraped against the roof. Its branches sounded almost like long fingernails sliding across old wood. Noah prepared a simple dinner from the supplies he had packed. Just as he sat down, 3 slow knocks echoed through the front door. Knock, knock, knock. He froze. Caleb's warning instantly returned to his mind. If someone knocks, do not answer. The room became completely silent. Several seconds passed. Nothing happened. Noah slowly stood. Maybe Caleb came back. Maybe someone actually needed help. He took 2 careful steps toward the entrance. Before he reached the door, a woman's voice whispered from outside, "Noah." The sound was soft, gentle, almost comforting. His heartbeat stopped. How could anyone here know his name? He had arrived less than 2 hours ago. The whisper came again. "Noah, please open the door. I am cold." His hand reached toward the lock. Then he remembered something. Caleb never said someone would knock. He said someone would call his name. Noah slowly stepped backward. The whisper immediately changed. Now it sounded deeper, angrier. "Open the door." The entire building suddenly shook. The lantern flame flickered violently. Then everything became quiet again. Noah stood motionless, barely breathing. Several long minutes passed before he gathered enough courage to look through the front window. No one stood outside. The road was empty. The only thing visible beneath the pale moonlight was the enormous cedar tree. Its branches moved slowly, without any wind. Then Noah noticed something. A tall figure was standing behind the trunk, watching the post office. It did not move. It did not blink. It simply waited. Noah could barely breathe. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. The figure was still there, tall, unnaturally thin. Its body blended into the darkness between the branches. Only its pale face reflected the moonlight. Noah grabbed the lantern and stepped closer to the window. The glass had become strangely cold. His breath covered it with fog. He wiped the glass with his sleeve. The figure was gone. Only the silent cedar tree remained. Noah let out a slow breath. Maybe it had been nothing more than a shadow. Maybe exhaustion was playing tricks on his mind. He stepped away from the window. Then a loud crash echoed from the back room. Something had fallen. Noah quickly turned around. The sound had come from the storage room where dozens of old mail bags were stacked against the wall. He lifted the lantern and slowly walked toward the doorway. Every floorboard groaned beneath his feet. The room looked empty, until he noticed one of the mail bags lying open on the floor. It had not been opened before. Hundreds of old letters were scattered everywhere. One envelope rested by itself in the center of the room. It looked newer than the others. Across the front someone had written only one name, Noah Bennett. His hands began to shake. This was impossible. No one in Raven Creek should have known he was coming. He carefully picked up the envelope. There was no stamp, no address, only his name. He opened it. Inside was a single folded sheet of paper. The handwriting looked rushed, almost desperate. If you are reading this, you arrived too late. Do not trust what speaks after dark. Do not follow anyone into the forest. And never stand beneath the cedar tree when the church bell rings. She will think you finally came back. There was no signature, only a dark fingerprint at the bottom of the page. Noah stared at it in silence. Before he could read it again, a deep bell echoed across the town. One slow ring. Its sound rolled through the mountains. Another ring followed. The lantern suddenly dimmed. Outside, something heavy scraped against the walls of the post office. Slowly, as if someone was walking around the building, dragging long fingers across the old wood. Noah rushed to the nearest window. Nothing. He turned toward the back door. The scraping stopped. Complete silence returned. Then, a single shadow passed across the frosted glass of the back entrance. It was far too tall to be any normal person, and it was standing only a few feet away, without making a sound. The door handle began to turn slowly. The old metal handle turned little by little. Noah stared at it without blinking. His heart pounded so hard it felt louder than the silence around him. The handle stopped. Everything became still again. No footsteps, no breathing, nothing. Noah slowly backed away from the door. Then a loud bang shook the entire building. The back door rattled against its frame. Another bang followed, stronger this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. The lantern flickered wildly. Noah grabbed the heavy wooden chair and shoved it beneath the doorknob. His hands trembled as he pushed with all his strength. The banging suddenly stopped. A few seconds passed. Then a soft laugh echoed from outside. It sounded like a young woman, quiet, almost playful, but something about it felt terribly wrong. The laugh slowly faded into the forest. Noah remained frozen. He looked at the clock hanging above the sorting table. Midnight. Exactly. At that very moment, every sound in Raven Creek disappeared. Even the wind had stopped. The silence felt alive. Then he heard footsteps. Not outside. Above him. Slow. Heavy. One step, then another. Noah looked toward the ceiling. There was no second floor, only an old wooden roof. Yet something was walking directly above his head. The footsteps crossed from one side of the building to the other. Each step made the ceiling groan. Tiny flakes of dust drifted onto the floor. Then the footsteps stopped, right above the room where Noah stood. He held his breath. A long crack slowly appeared across one of the wooden ceiling boards. Something pressed against it from above. The wood bent downward, as if enormous weight rested on it. Another crack appeared. The lantern light shook. Then, a single long finger pushed through the broken wood. Its skin looked gray. Its nails were black and impossibly long. The finger slowly curled, almost as if searching for someone below. Noah stumbled backward. The ceiling creaked louder. Another finger appeared, then another. Whatever was above the roof was trying to force its hand through the opening. Noah grabbed the lantern and ran toward the front room. Before he reached the hallway, every light inside the building went out. Darkness swallowed everything. For several seconds he could see nothing. Then, a pale glow appeared outside the front window. It came from the direction of the giant cedar tree. Noah carefully looked through the glass. The tree was surrounded by dozens of small white lights. At first they looked like floating lanterns. Then he realized they were faces. Pale, expressionless faces staring toward the post office. Men, women, children. None of them moved. None of them blinked. They simply stood beneath the tree, as if waiting for someone to come outside. Then every head turned toward Noah at the exact same moment. And together they all smiled. Noah stumbled backward until his shoulders hit the wall. His lungs refused to take a full breath. The smiling faces remained perfectly still beneath the cedar tree. None of them blinked. None of them spoke. Then the lantern in Noah's hand suddenly lit itself again. Its weak flame filled the room with a trembling yellow glow. He looked back toward the window. The faces were gone. Only the massive cedar tree stood in the moonlight. Its branches swayed slowly, even though the air outside was completely still. Noah whispered to himself, "This cannot be real. There has to be an explanation." Before he could gather his thoughts, a loud thud came from the front counter. He turned immediately. A leather mail pouch now rested on the desk. It had not been there before. Noah was certain of it. He slowly walked closer. The bag looked ancient. Its surface was stained with dried mud and something much darker. Attached to it was a faded government tag, property of United States Postal Service. Employee Ryan Cooper. Noah's heartbeat quickened. This belonged to the missing postmaster. He carefully opened the pouch. Inside he found an old pocket flashlight, a broken watch, a ring of keys, and a small cassette recorder. The recorder looked damaged, but when Noah pressed the play button, static filled the room. For several seconds there was nothing. Then a frightened voice whispered through the speaker. "If anyone finds this, leave Raven Creek before the second night. She only watches on the first night. She chooses on the second, and she never lets anyone survive the third." Ryan's breathing became faster. "I thought the tree was cursed. I was wrong. The tree is only where she waits. She comes from beneath it." A violent burst of static interrupted the recording. Then Ryan screamed. The sound was so sudden that Noah nearly dropped the recorder. The scream ended with complete silence. The tape stopped by itself. Noah slowly lowered the recorder. His hands were shaking uncontrollably. Someone had lived through this before him. Someone had tried to leave a warning. Then another sound echoed outside. Not knocking, not footsteps. It sounded like soil being dug apart. Slow, heavy, deliberate. The sound came from the direction of the cedar tree. Noah looked through the window one more time. The ground beneath the tree was moving, as if something underneath was slowly pushing its way toward the surface. Then a pale hand burst through the earth, followed by another. Something was crawling out of the ground, and it was not alone. Noah stood frozen near the window. His mind was telling him to run, but his body refused to move. The ground beneath the cedar tree continued to crack open. Dark soil fell away as a figure slowly pulled itself upward. At first Noah could only see a hand, then an arm, then the shape of a person rising from beneath the earth. The figure wore old clothes covered in dirt. Its head hung low. Its movements were slow and unnatural, like someone learning how to walk again after years of being buried. Noah stepped away from the window. This was impossible. No human being could survive something like that. The figure finally stood beneath the cedar tree. Then it lifted its head. Even from a distance Noah recognized something familiar. The face was not a stranger. It was Ryan Cooper, the missing postmaster. His skin was pale, his eyes were empty, and his expression showed pure terror. Ryan slowly raised one hand toward the post office window, as if trying to warn Noah. Then his mouth opened, but no voice came out. Suddenly another shadow appeared behind him, much taller, much darker. Ryan's face changed instantly. Fear returned to his eyes. He looked behind himself. Then the darkness pulled him backward into the tree's shadow. He disappeared. Noah fell away from the window. His breathing became uneven. The missing postmaster was not missing. He was trapped. Something in Raven Creek had been keeping him there. The next morning arrived with heavy fog covering the entire town. Noah had not slept even for a minute. When sunlight entered through the windows, the post office looked normal again. No broken door, no damaged ceiling, no evidence of what happened during the night. Only one thing remained, the cassette recorder on the desk. Noah grabbed his coat and rushed outside. He needed answers. The first person he found was Caleb Foster. The caretaker was standing near the grocery store. The moment he saw Noah walking toward him, his expression changed. "You saw something." Noah stopped. "You knew this would happen." Caleb looked away. "I hoped it would not." Noah stepped closer. "Tell me the truth. What is under that tree?" Caleb remained silent for several seconds. Then he finally spoke. 20 years ago there was a family that lived where the post office stands today. The father worked for the town. His daughter Evelyn was known by everyone. She was kind. She helped every person in Raven Creek. Until one winter night she disappeared. The town searched the forest for days, but they found nothing. Then they discovered strange marks around the cedar tree. People said something terrible happened there, but the elders forced everyone to stay quiet. Noah looked toward the old tree. "And Evelyn? What happened to her?" Caleb's face became pale. "They found her beneath the tree 3 days later. But the worst part was not her death. The worst part was what happened after they buried her. Because every person who knew the truth started disappearing one by one." Noah looked back at the post office. The same place where Ryan Cooper had vanished. Caleb lowered his voice. "The tree does not take everyone. Only those who discover the truth. And now, it knows your name." At that moment, a cold wind moved through the town. Both men looked toward the cedar tree. Carved deep into its ancient trunk were new words. Words that had not been there before. "Noah Bennett, your turn has begun." Noah stared at the words carved into the cedar tree. His name was written deep into the bark. Fresh cuts exposed the lighter wood beneath. Someone or something had carved it during the night. But the question that terrified him the most was not who did it. It was how that thing knew his name before he even arrived. Caleb slowly stepped backward. "We need to leave. Now." Noah looked at him. "You knew about this town. You knew about Ryan. You knew about Evelyn. Why did you let me come here?" Caleb lowered his eyes. "Because nobody chooses Raven Creek. The town chooses them." Noah felt a chill move through his body. "What does that mean?" Caleb looked toward the old post office. Every new postmaster receives a transfer letter. But nobody asks why the position is always empty. Nobody asks why people keep leaving. Because the truth is, they never leave. Noah remembered Ryan's voice from the recorder. "She chooses on the second night." He looked at Caleb. "How long do I have?" Caleb did not answer immediately. That silence was enough. Noah grabbed Caleb's jacket. "Tell me, how long?" Caleb finally whispered. "Tonight is your second night." A heavy silence fell between them. The fog around the town became thicker. The buildings disappeared behind the white mist. Then the old church bell rang. One single sound. Everyone nearby immediately stopped moving. People closed their doors. Windows were covered. The entire town went silent. Noah looked around in confusion. Why is everyone hiding? Caleb's voice became barely audible. "Because she is awake." The bell rang again. This time louder. The ground beneath their feet slightly trembled. From the direction of the cedar tree came a woman's voice. "Noah." He turned instantly. Caleb grabbed his arm. "Do not look." Noah froze. The voice came again. Closer this time. "Noah, I have been waiting for you." Every instinct told him to run, but another part of him wanted answers. He slowly turned his head toward the tree. Standing beside the massive trunk was a woman wearing an old white dress. Her hair covered most of her face. Her feet were touching the ground, but her shadow stretched in the opposite direction. Caleb whispered in horror, "Evelyn." The woman slowly lifted her head, and Noah saw her face. It was not a monster. It was the face of someone who had suffered for years. Her eyes were filled with sadness, not anger. She looked directly at Noah. Then she said something that made his blood turn cold. "Ryan tried to save you, but he failed. Now you have to finish what he started." Before Noah could respond, the woman disappeared. Only a small piece of paper remained on the ground beneath the tree. Caleb picked it up with shaking hands. His face changed after reading it. Noah looked at him. "What does it say?" Caleb slowly turned the paper around. The message was written in fresh black ink. "The truth is buried under the post office." And beneath the message was one more sentence. "Dig before midnight." The two men looked toward the old post office building. For the first time, Noah realized the horror of Raven Creek was not waiting outside. It had been underneath him the entire time. Noah stood in front of the old post office staring at the building he had slept inside the previous night. The place suddenly felt different. It was no longer just an abandoned workplace. It was hiding something. Something that had been buried for years. Caleb held the paper tightly in his hand. His face was filled with fear. "We should burn that message and leave this town." Noah looked at him. "If we leave now, someone else will come here. Someone else will disappear." Caleb remained silent, because he knew Noah was right. For years the people of Raven Creek had survived by ignoring the truth. But ignoring something did not make it disappear. It only made it stronger. They entered the post office together. The building was colder than before. The air smelled like wet soil. Noah walked toward the storage room where he had found Ryan's mail pouch. He looked at the wooden floor. The message was clear. The truth is buried under the post office. They searched every corner, behind shelves, under old cabinets, inside forgotten rooms. Then Caleb noticed something unusual. A section of the floor near the back wall looked newer than the rest. Someone had repaired it recently. Noah moved the old boxes covering it. Beneath them was a hidden metal handle. A trapdoor. Caleb stepped back immediately. "Number." Noah looked at him. "You know what is down there." Caleb swallowed hard. "My father helped build this post office. He told me never to open that door. He said some things are buried because they are dangerous." Noah grabbed the handle. "Then maybe it is time we find out why." The trapdoor opened with a loud crack. A wave of freezing air came from below. A narrow staircase disappeared into darkness. The walls were covered with strange symbols carved into the stone. Some looked like warnings. Others looked like names. Noah lifted the lantern and started walking down. Caleb followed slowly behind. At the bottom was a small underground chamber. The room looked untouched for decades. Old photographs covered one wall. Newspapers covered another. Noah moved closer. The headlines were about missing people from Raven Creek, all connected to the same place, the cedar tree. Then he saw something that made him stop. A photograph of Ryan Cooper, the missing postmaster. But he was not alone. Standing beside him was Caleb, a much younger Caleb. Noah turned around slowly. "You knew Ryan before he disappeared?" Caleb looked down. "Yes, I did." "Why did you lie to me?" Caleb's voice became quiet. "Because Ryan asked me to. He found this place before you. He discovered what was really beneath the post office. And he found out something about Evelyn. Something nobody in this town wanted revealed." Noah looked at the old photographs again. There was one picture that caught his attention. A group of townspeople standing beneath the cedar tree. In the center was Evelyn, but behind her stood another figure. Someone wearing a black coat. Someone whose face had been scratched away from the photograph. "Who is that?" Caleb did not answer. His silence said everything. Then suddenly the chamber lights turned on by themselves. A voice echoed from the darkness. "You should have left when you had the chance." Noah and Caleb turned around. At the entrance of the underground room stood a figure covered in shadows. And this time, it was not Evelyn. It was someone from the town. Someone who had been hiding the truth for 20 years. Noah held the lantern tightly as the figure slowly stepped into the underground chamber. The weak light revealed an old man wearing a black coat. His face was covered with deep wrinkles, but his eyes were sharp, cold, and filled with anger. Caleb immediately recognized him. Harold Whitmore, the town historian. Harold closed the underground door behind him. "You were never supposed to find this place." Noah stepped forward. "You knew about this room. You knew about Ryan. You knew about Evelyn." Harold looked at the photographs on the wall. "For 20 years I protected this town. I kept people alive." Noah stared at him. "By hiding the truth." Harold's expression hardened. "You do not understand what you have discovered. This is not a story about a ghost. This is about a mistake our ancestors made. A mistake that still demands payment." Caleb moved closer. "You knew she was innocent." Harold looked at him. "And you knew what would happen if the truth came out." The room became silent. Noah looked between them. "What happened to Evelyn?" Harold walked toward an old wooden box sitting in the corner. He opened it slowly. Inside were dozens of letters, old documents, and a small necklace. This belonged to Evelyn Blackwood. She was accused of bringing bad luck to Raven Creek. People blamed her for every accident, every death, every problem. But the truth was different. She discovered something hidden beneath this land, something the town leaders wanted to keep secret. Noah looked at the underground walls. What was hidden? Harold looked toward the ceiling. The thing beneath this town was here before Raven Creek existed. The cedar tree was planted on top of it, and Evelyn was the only person who knew how to stop it. Caleb whispered, "But they killed her." Harold closed his eyes. "Yes, and that was the beginning of the curse." Noah picked up one of the old letters. The handwriting belonged to Evelyn. The message was faded but still readable. "If they bury me beneath the tree, the darkness will wake. But if someone finds the truth, I can finally be free. Noah looked up. Then why did she attack Ryan? Why did she come after me? Harold's face changed. Because you do not know the whole story. Before Ryan disappeared, he discovered that someone in Raven Creek was helping the darkness return. Someone who was still alive. Noah felt a cold sensation behind him. Someone alive. Who? Before Harold could answer, the underground chamber shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The old photographs started falling from the wall. Then the voice of a woman echoed through the room. You are all lying. The lantern flame turned blue. The temperature dropped instantly. A shadow appeared on the stone wall. A woman's figure, but it was not standing there. It was moving on its own. Caleb stepped back in fear. Evelyn. The shadow slowly turned toward Harold, and a whisper filled the chamber. You promised to tell the truth. Harold's face became pale. Noah looked at him. What promise? Harold said nothing. Then Evelyn's voice became louder. Tell him what you did. The underground walls began cracking, and from beneath the floor, something started knocking. 3 slow knocks, coming from deep underground. Something was trapped below them, and it was waking up. The 3 knocks echoed through the underground chamber. Everyone stood completely still. The sound was not coming from the walls. It was coming from beneath the floor. Something was buried deeper than the hidden room. Something that had been waiting for years. Noah looked at Harold. What is down there? Harold's face had lost all color. He slowly stepped away from the cracked floor. You were never supposed to hear that. Caleb looked at him with anger. How many people have disappeared because of your secret? Harold did not respond, because the answer was already written across his face. Noah moved closer to the old man. Ryan found this place, didn't he? Harold looked down. Yes, Ryan discovered everything. He found the records. He found Evelyn's letters. And he found out who really caused her death. Noah's eyes narrowed. Who? Harold remained silent. Then the floor shook again, this time harder. A deep sound came from below, almost like something breathing. The old wooden box suddenly flew across the room. The necklace inside began moving on its own. Then a woman's voice whispered, Harold. The old man closed his eyes. Evelyn. The shadow on the wall slowly changed shape. It became clearer. A woman in an old white dress appeared. But this time Noah noticed something different. She was not looking at him. She was looking at Harold. You left me there. Her voice was filled with pain. Harold stepped backward. I was young. I was scared. I had no choice. Evelyn's shadow moved closer. You had a choice. You always had a choice. Noah looked at Caleb. What is she talking about? Caleb looked ashamed. My father told me the truth before he died. Harold was part of the group that buried Evelyn beneath the tree. Noah felt shocked. He was one of them. Caleb nodded slowly. But he was the only one who regretted it. The only one who tried to undo what they had done. Harold suddenly shouted. You do not understand. If I reveal the truth, the thing beneath this town will wake completely. Noah looked at the cracked floor. What thing? Harold pointed downward. The darkness that was trapped under the cedar tree. Evelyn was not the danger. She was keeping it contained. The room went silent. Noah looked toward the shadow of Evelyn. All this time, everyone thought she was the monster, but she was protecting the town. The shadow slowly turned toward Noah. Then she whispered. Ryan understood, but he was too late. A sudden scream came from beneath the floor. The cracks spread across the chamber. Black smoke started rising from the gaps. Caleb grabbed Noah's arm. We need to get out, now. But before they could move, a hand burst through the broken floor. It was not human. The fingers were long and twisted. The skin was black like burned wood. The creature pulled itself upward, and from the darkness beneath the chamber, a voice whispered, The last postmaster has finally arrived. Noah froze, because the voice was not coming from the creature. It was coming from inside his own mind. Noah fell to his knees as the voice echoed inside his head. The sound was not loud. It was worse than that. It was familiar. Like something that had been waiting inside his thoughts for a long time. Caleb grabbed his shoulder. Noah, listen to me. Do not answer it. Noah looked at him in confusion. Answer what? Caleb's face turned pale. The thing beneath the tree. It does not speak with a voice. It speaks through memories. The creature continued pulling itself out from the broken floor. Only a part of its body was visible, but that was enough. The air around it felt heavy. The lantern flames bent toward it as if they were being pulled by an invisible force. Harold stepped forward. This is my fault. I thought I could control it. I thought keeping the secret would keep everyone safe. Noah looked at him. You knew this would happen. Harold nodded slowly. The darkness needs a person connected to the post office. Someone who carries the responsibility of this land. That is why every postmaster disappears. Noah remembered Ryan's warning. She chooses on the second night. And now he understood. Ryan was not chosen randomly. Neither was he. The creature moved closer. The stone floor cracked beneath its weight. Then suddenly Evelyn's shadow appeared between Noah and the creature. The room filled with a cold white light. The creature stopped. For the first time, it looked afraid. Evelyn's voice echoed through the chamber. "You cannot take him. Not yet." The creature released a deep growl. The sound shook the entire underground room. "You failed before. You cannot protect him." Evelyn looked toward Noah, and Noah realized something. She was not protecting him from the creature. She was protecting the creature from him. Confused, Noah stepped forward. "What does that mean?" Evelyn slowly turned toward him. "Your family was here before Raven Creek existed." Noah froze. "My family?" The room became silent. Harold looked at him in shock. "You never told me your last name when you arrived." Noah looked at him. "What are you talking about?" Harold stared at him. "Bennett, your family name. It was written in the old records. The same records Ryan found." Noah felt a cold wave move through his body. "Why would my family be in those records?" Evelyn whispered. "Because your ancestors were the ones who created the seal beneath the cedar tree. And you are the last person who can either restore it or break it forever." The creature beneath the floor suddenly laughed. A deep and natural sound that filled the chamber. It looked directly at Noah. "You came here thinking you were a postmaster, but you were brought here because you are the key." The underground walls started collapsing. Stones fell from the ceiling. Caleb pulled Noah toward the stairs. "We have to move, now." As they ran upward, Noah looked back one last time. Evelyn's shadow remained behind, standing against the darkness, holding it back. But just before the trapdoor closed, she whispered one final warning. "Do not trust the man who brought you here." Noah stopped, because everyone turned toward Caleb, and Caleb looked just as shocked as him. The trapdoor slammed shut behind them. For several seconds nobody spoke. The only sound inside the old post office was their heavy breathing. Noah slowly turned toward Caleb. "What did she mean? Who brought me here?" Caleb looked confused. "I don't know." Noah stepped closer. "She said do not trust the man who brought you here. You brought me to the post office." The color disappeared from Caleb's face. "I only helped you because I wanted to protect you." But before Noah could respond, a loud sound came from outside. The church bell rang again. 1, 2, 3 times. All the windows of the post office shook. The same cold wind from the night before entered through every crack in the building. Then something strange happened. The old mailboxes on the wall started opening one by one. Inside them were letters. Hundreds of letters. Letters that had never been delivered. Noah slowly approached one mailbox. The name written on it made him stop. Ryan Cooper. He opened it. Inside was a single envelope. The date on it was tomorrow. Noah's hands trembled. How could a letter from tomorrow already exist? He opened it carefully. The handwriting was Ryan's. "Noah, if you are reading this, it means you discovered the truth beneath the post office. But there is something you still don't know. Caleb Foster was not sent to protect you. He was sent to prepare you." Noah looked up immediately. Caleb stepped backward. "Wait, you don't understand." Noah continued reading. "He knows what happens after the third night. He knows what the town requires. And he knows why you were chosen." The letter ended with one final sentence. "Do not let Caleb take you to the tree." Noah slowly lowered the paper. The room felt colder than before. Caleb looked desperate. "Noah, please listen to me. Ryan wrote this before he understood everything." Noah stared at him. "Then tell me the truth. Why was I sent here?" Caleb looked toward the old cedar tree outside. "For years I searched for someone who could end this. Someone connected to the original family. When your transfer came through, I knew it was finally happening." Noah's expression changed. "You knew my name before I arrived." Caleb remained silent. That silence answered everything. Noah stepped away. "You brought me here on purpose." Caleb shook his head. "Not to sacrifice you. To save everyone." A sudden scream interrupted them. It came from outside. Both men looked through the window. A crowd of people stood in the street. The entire town had gathered. Everyone was staring toward the post office. And at the front of the crowd stood Harold. But he was not alone. Beside him was a figure wearing an old black coat. The same figure from the underground photograph. The person whose face had been scratched away. Noah whispered, "Who is that?" Caleb's eyes filled with fear. Because for the first time in 20 years, the person who controlled Raven Creek had returned. And everyone in the town was standing with him. Noah stared through the window at the people gathered outside. The entire town was standing silently in the darkness. No one looked afraid. No one tried to run. They looked like they were waiting for something to happen. The figure in the black coat slowly stepped forward. Even from inside the post office, Noah could feel something unnatural about him. Caleb whispered, "His name is Victor Hale." Noah looked at him. "Who is he?" Caleb's voice became quiet. "He was the leader of the group that buried Evelyn. He was the person who created the deal with the darkness beneath the tree." Noah looked back outside. "But he should be old. He should be dead by now. Caleb nodded. He should be. Victor stopped in front of the post office door. Then he spoke. Noah Bennett. The sound of his voice traveled through the building. You have spent too much time searching for answers. Now it is time to accept your purpose. Noah did not move. How do you know my name? Victor smiled. Because your family has been connected to this place for generations. Your blood opened the door. And your blood will close it. Caleb stepped toward the door. Do not listen to him, Noah. He has been controlling this town for years. Victor laughed softly. Controlling. Number. Protecting. Everyone in Raven Creek is alive because of me. Noah looked at the people outside. Alive. Or trapped? Victor's smile disappeared. You are young. You think freedom matters more than survival. But you have never seen what happens when the darkness walks freely. The ground suddenly shook. The old cedar tree outside moved violently. Its branches twisted toward the sky. The townspeople lowered their heads, as if they were praying. Noah looked at Caleb. What happens after the third night? Caleb did not answer. Victor answered for him. The third night is when the choice is made. Either the seal continues, or the darkness returns. Noah looked confused. What choice? Victor stepped closer to the door. The choice between one life and hundreds. The post office lights started flickering. Then every mailbox slammed shut at the same time. The sound echoed through the building. Victor continued, your ancestors created the seal, but they also created the rule. Every generation, someone from the Bennett family must return. Someone must become the keeper. Noah shook his head. I never agreed to this. Victor smiled. Your family agreed long before you were born. Suddenly a loud crack came from the direction of the cedar tree. A massive branch broke and fell to the ground. Behind it was something hidden inside the trunk. A small wooden door. A door that had never been visible before. Evelyn's voice whispered from nowhere. Noah, do not let him open it. Victor looked toward the tree. For the first time, his calm expression disappeared. Because he knew something had changed. Something even he could not control. The wooden door in the cedar tree slowly opened by itself. And from inside came a sound that made everyone in Raven Creek freeze. Noah froze when he heard the child's voice coming from inside the cedar tree. The voice was soft, almost innocent, but something about it felt impossible. No child could be living inside an ancient tree, especially not one that had stood there for more than a century. Noah slowly stepped closer to the window. The voice came again. Noah, please help me. Caleb grabbed his arm. Do not go near it. Noah looked at him. You heard that too. Caleb nodded. Everyone in Raven Creek has heard that voice, but nobody has ever seen who is calling. Victor stepped toward the tree. His confidence had returned. Now you understand. The darkness does not just take people. It keeps what belongs to it. Noah looked at him. You knew about this. Victor smiled. I know everything about this town. The secrets, the sacrifices, the families who tried to escape. All of them. Suddenly the wooden door inside the tree opened wider. A cold black fog poured out. The people standing outside began whispering among themselves. Fear spread through the crowd. Even Victor looked uncomfortable. Noah noticed something strange. The darkness coming from the tree was not moving toward him. It was moving toward Victor. Victor stepped backward. Number. This is not how it is supposed to happen. Caleb looked shocked. You lied to everyone. Noah turned toward him. What do you mean? Caleb stared at Victor. The sacrifice was never meant to protect the town. It was meant to keep Victor alive. The entire street became silent. Victor's expression changed. Caleb continued. The darkness beneath the tree does not need a keeper. It needs a host. Every few decades Victor gives it a new soul. And in return, it keeps him young. Noah looked at the old man in disbelief. You sacrificed all those people. Victor's calm face finally disappeared. You think those people mattered? This town survived because of me. Without my agreement with the darkness, Raven Creek would have disappeared decades ago. The black fog moved closer to him. The cedar tree branches wrapped around the trunk like living arms. For the first time, Victor looked afraid. Evelyn's voice echoed through the night. Your time is over. Victor looked toward the tree. You were supposed to be trapped forever. A white shadow appeared beside the tree. Evelyn stood there, but this time she looked different. She was no longer just a spirit. She looked peaceful. The pain in her eyes had disappeared. Noah watched as she faced Victor. You took my life. You trapped my soul. And you used this town as your prison. Victor screamed. You cannot stop me. I created this place. Evelyn looked toward Noah. Number. You created the curse. He will decide the ending. Everyone turned toward Noah. The ground beneath him began to crack. The wooden door inside the tree opened completely. Inside was not darkness. It was a bright white light. And from that light came a voice. A voice Noah recognized instantly. It was his father's voice. Noah, you finally came home. Noah stood frozen in front of the cedar tree. The voice coming from inside the light was impossible. It was the voice he had not heard in years. His father's voice. Noah, you finally came home. His eyes filled with confusion. His father had died when Noah was a teenager. There was no way he could be standing inside an ancient tree in Raven Creek. Caleb whispered, do not trust everything you hear. The darkness knows how to copy voices, but Noah could not move. The voice came again. I know you have questions. I know you want the truth. The light inside the tree became brighter. Images started appearing on the wooden surface. Noah saw a young man walking through a forest. It was his father, but he was not alone. Beside him was another man, a younger Victor Hale. Noah watched silently as the memory continued. His father was holding an old book, the same book that was hidden beneath the post office. Victor was begging him, help me open the seal. Together we can control it. Noah's father refused. You do not understand what you are dealing with. This thing cannot be controlled. Victor became angry. Then I will find someone who can. The vision disappeared. Noah looked at Caleb. My father knew about Raven Creek. Caleb nodded slowly. Your father came here 25 years ago. He discovered Victor's plan. He tried to stop him, but before he could destroy the seal, he disappeared. Noah felt a painful silence inside him. Everyone told me he died in an accident. Caleb looked away. That was the story Victor created. The truth was buried with everything else. The cedar tree suddenly shook. The white light inside it changed. The darkness beneath the ground began rising again. Victor stepped forward. Enough. He looked at Noah with anger. Your father was weak. He chose people over power. That is why he failed. Noah stared at him. And that is why you are afraid of him. Victor's expression changed. Because even after death, he is still protecting this town. Victor shouted. You know nothing about this place. You think Evelyn is a victim. You think I am the monster. But ask yourself one question. Why did your family create the seal in the first place? Noah remained silent. Victor smiled. Because they knew the darkness was never meant to be destroyed. It was meant to be controlled. The ground suddenly opened beneath the cedar tree. A deep black energy rose into the sky. The entire town shook. Windows shattered. The people screamed and ran. Evelyn looked at Noah. The seal is breaking. You must choose now. Noah looked at the tree, at Victor, at Caleb, then at the darkness rising from beneath the earth. A voice whispered inside his mind. Choose power. Choose freedom. Choose forever. The darkness reached toward him, and Noah realized the final decision was not about saving Raven Creek. It was about deciding what kind of person he would become. The darkness surrounded Noah from every direction. The cold air felt like thousands of whispers moving through his mind. Every fear, every regret, every painful memory from his past appeared in front of him. The darkness was not attacking his body. It was attacking his choices. A voice echoed inside his head. You spent your whole life feeling powerless. You lost your father. You were sent away from everything you knew. You were always told what to do. But now, you can control everything. Noah closed his eyes. For a moment he saw himself standing above Raven Creek, the entire town beneath his feet. No more fear. No more rules. No more running. The darkness was offering him everything he had ever wanted. Then he remembered something. His father did not choose power. Evelyn did not choose revenge. And Ryan did not choose survival. They all chose to protect others. Noah opened his eyes. You are wrong. The darkness stopped. I was never chosen because I was powerful. I was chosen because I had a choice. The ground shook violently. Victor screamed. Number, you do not understand. The darkness belongs to us. Noah turned toward him. Number, it belonged to you. That was your mistake. The white light inside the cedar tree exploded outward. The darkness began pulling away from Noah. For the first time, it looked afraid. Evelyn stepped forward. Her spirit became brighter than ever before. You cannot hold what was never yours. The branches of the cedar tree wrapped around Victor. He fought against them, begging, shouting. But the tree did not listen. All the years he had stolen, all the lives he had sacrificed, everything returned at once. Victor's face changed. The illusion of his youth disappeared. The old man he truly was finally appeared. Number, I deserve more time. Evelyn looked at him calmly. Everyone deserves a chance, but you took everyone else's. The tree pulled him into the darkness beneath the ground. And for the first time in decades, Raven Creek became silent. A peaceful silence. The black fog disappeared. The cracks in the earth closed. The cedar tree stopped moving. The people of Raven Creek slowly stepped outside their homes. They looked at the tree, not with fear, but with sadness. Caleb walked beside Noah. Is it over? Noah looked at the old cedar tree. I think it finally is. A gentle wind passed through the branches, and for a brief moment, Noah saw Evelyn standing beneath the tree. She smiled, then disappeared into the morning light. Months later, Raven Creek changed forever. The truth about the town was finally revealed. The old post office was rebuilt, and a memorial was placed beneath the cedar tree. A memorial for everyone who had been lost. Noah decided to stay, not as a prisoner, but as the person who would protect the truth. The people of Raven Creek finally received their letters again, and the town that had lived in fear for generations slowly became alive. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind moves through the old cedar branches, the people still hear a quiet whisper, not a warning, not a threat, just a reminder. Some secrets are buried for a reason, and some spirits do not return to haunt us. They return to make sure the darkness never comes back again. So this is the story. I hope you enjoy it. Follow Nightmare Files for more horror and creepy stories.